I never imagined the day would come when the little girl who begged me to push her higher on the swing would stand in my kitchen, 8 months pregnant, and say, "Mom, it's our turn now. The house is ours. You've had it long enough." Those words sliced deeper than any knife ever could. By the time my daughter realized what I'd done, the house she grew up in, the one she tried to claim like a prize, was already legally owned by 6 single mothers and their 12 children, and every penny I had in this world now carries their names, not hers. My name is Diane Elizabeth Harper. I'm 62 years old, widowed since I was 41, and I have spent the last 8 months executing the quietest, most devastating revenge a mother has ever pulled on her only child. Let's start from the very beginning, because this didn't happen overnight. This was 21 years in the making. When my husband Mark died, suddenly in 2004, Emily was 7. One minute, he was kissing us goodbye on his way to work. The next he was gone. Massive heart attack at 41. No warning. No life insurance. Just a stack of hospital bills and a little girl who kept asking when Daddy was coming home from his long nap. I worked 70-hour weeks as an ICU nurse, picked up private duty cases on my days off, and still came home to braid her hair and check her spelling words. That house on Sycamore Lane, the little blue one with the crooked mailbox, was the only constant we had left. I fought foreclosure twice. I refinished the hardwood floors myself with a rented sander and tears. I paid that mortgage with blood and overtime and every skipped vacation for 21 years until the day the bank finally sent me the deed in a plain white envelope. Paid in full. Mine. Emily grew up beautiful, smart, and, somewhere along the way, entitled. I blame myself. I gave her everything I never had, and I never taught her what everything actually cost. Fast forward to 2021. She announced her wedding to Jake, a finance bro who pronounces espresso wrong and calls my decades of nursing cute. The wedding was in Tulum. Child-free. Intimate. 50 guests. I wasn't on the list. She told me over the phone, voice sugary, "Mom, it's just easier this way. You understand, right? We don't want any drama with the older crowd." I sent $10,000 anyway, money I'd been saving for a new furnace, because I still thought love meant swallowing pain with a smile. They came back tanned and smug, showing me photos of the beach ceremony, while I sat on the same couch where I once rocked Emily through nightmares. In half the pictures, Jake's coworkers had brought their toddlers. Apparently, child-free, only applied to children who might call me grandma. I let it go. Mothers do that. Then the demand started. First it was subtle. "Mom, this house is way too big for one person." Then it was suggestions. "Have you thought about a reverse mortgage?" Then it became blatant. Christmas 2023, Jake cornered me by the tree with a manila folder full of real estate listings for active senior communities. He called them lifestyle upgrades. I called them warehouses for the inconveniently alive. By spring 2024, Emily was pregnant and the mask was completely off. April 12th. I still remember the date because it was the day the lilacs bloomed. They showed up unannounced with coffee I didn't ask for and a set of architectural renderings. Jake spread them across my dining table like he already owned the place. "We're adding a second story, knocking out the wall between the kitchen and living room, and converting your bedroom into a walk-in closet. You'll love the basement suite, Diane. It has its own entrance, so you won't be underfoot." Emily rubbed her barely there bump and smiled like she was doing me a favor. "Mom, you've had the house for 30 years. It's our turn now. Dad would want his granddaughter to grow up here." I asked the question that still haunts me. When exactly did this house stop being mine and start being yours? Emily rolled her eyes. "God, Mom, don't be dramatic. Possession is 9/10 of the law, right, Jake?" Jake grinned. "Something like that." That night I didn't sleep. I walked through every room, touching the walls, remembering the pencil marks behind the pantry door where I measured her height every birthday. Year after year after year, until she stopped letting me. The next morning I called Sandra Mitchell, my estate attorney, and the only person who ever saw me cry after Mark died. I told her everything. When I finished, there was a long silence. Sandra finally said, "Diane, how much do you want them to hurt?" I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Enough that they never forget the price of greed. And that's when we began building the trap. Phase 1, the long con. For the next 9 months, I became the world's most compliant mother-in-law. I oohed over nursery pallets. I let them drag contractors through my house at all hours. I even signed a fake, intent to transfer, letter they had drawn up by some shady online legal service, knowing Sandra had already filed the real documents that made it worthless. I installed Ring cameras in every room, disclosed, legal, high definition. I kept a separate cloud account they didn't know about. Phase 2, the foundation. I founded the Harper House Project, a nonprofit dedicated to housing single mothers exiting foster care at 18 with nowhere to go. I interviewed 27 candidates for executive director and chose Marisol Rivera, 29, former foster kid, single mom to a 5-year-old, and the most ferocious protector of vulnerable women I've ever met. She didn't believe me at first when I said I was giving her my house. She cried when I handed her the keys, still 6 weeks before closing. Phase 3, the money. I sold everything. The 1969 Camaro mark, and I restored the year we got married, gone. The vintage jewelry my mother left me, gone. The 401k, the CDs, the savings bonds, every dime liquidated and poured into an irrevocable charitable remainder trust. Once the transfer was complete, not even God himself could undo it. Phase 4, the waiting game. Emily's due date was June 3rd, 2025. On May 29th, my water broke. No, not mine. Emily's. 2 hours later, she was screaming my name from a delivery room 40 minutes away, begging me to come hold her hand. I took my time. I showered. I put on the navy silk dress I wore to Mark's funeral. I pinned on the pearl brooch Emily gave me for my 50th birthday, the one she later bragged cost, like, $30 on Etsy. I looked in the mirror and practiced the smile I would need. When I walked into that hospital room, Jake was pacing, Emily was sweating through an epidural, and the energy changed the second they saw me. Emily reached for me, tears in her eyes. "Mommy, I'm so scared." For one heartbeat, the old love surged. Then I remembered her voice on camera 6 weeks earlier. Once the old bat signs, we flipped the house in 5 years and retired to Bali. I took her hand anyway. Mothers are stupid that way. Harper Elizabeth was born at 6:17 p.m., 8 pounds, 2 ounces, perfect. I held her for exactly 30 seconds, long enough to memorize her face, long enough for Emily to whisper, "See, Mom? This is why you have to give us the house." For her. Jake was already on his phone texting the realtor. That's when I pulled out my iPad. "Before we talk about houses," I said calmly, "I have a video the whole family should watch together." I hit play. The room filled with their own voices, 93 hours of crystal clear audio and video, every ugly moment, every sneer, every laugh at my expense. Jake explaining how they'd wait for me to stroke out so they wouldn't have to pay gift tax. Emily mocking my pathetic little nurse life. Jake calling me the ATM that keeps on giving until it doesn't. Emily started hyperventilating. Jake went red, then purple, then tried to grab the iPad. An orderly stepped in. I wasn't finished. "While you were in labor," I continued, voice steady as steel, "the deed to 2147 Sycamore Lane was recorded at the county courthouse. The new owners moved in at noon today. 6 single mothers and their children. They're having a pizza party right now in the kitchen where you used to eat Lucky Charms, and tell me I was the best mom in the world." Emily screamed. Actually screamed. Nurses rushed in. I kept going. The $1.87 million in liquid assets. Also gone. Irrevocable trust. Charitable remainder. The only thing I kept was my pension and Social Security, enough for a 1-bedroom condo with a balcony full of geraniums. Jake lunged. Security tackled him. Emily was sobbing, so hard the monitors went crazy. I stood up, smoothed my dress, and looked at my daughter one last time. "You told me it was your turn," I said softly. "You were right. It just wasn't your turn to take. It was my turn to give, to someone who actually deserves it." I laid the yellow baby head I'd knitted on the bed, the one with tiny pearl stitches, and walked out without looking back. 3 months later, I get letters now. Real ones, in childish handwriting on construction paper. "Thank you, Miss Diane, for my new bedroom with the unicorn wallpaper. Thank you for letting my mommy finish nursing school. Thank you for the swing set. Marisol sends videos. 12 kids chasing bubbles in the backyard I used to mow alone. A teenage mom graduating high school in the living room, where Emily once demanded I die faster. Emily tried to contest the trust. Her lawyer quit after Sandra buried him in discovery. Jake got fired for throwing a stapler at his boss the day the story hit the local news, anonymized, but our zip code is small. They're renting a townhouse now. 2 bedrooms. Beige walls. No yard. Sometimes I sit on my balcony at sunset and think about the little girl who used to run through sprinklers screaming, "Mommy, watch me fly." I hope one day Harper asks why she doesn't have a grandma like her friends do. I hope Emily tells her the truth, because the house on Sycamore Lane still has laughter echoing through it every single day, just not hers. And every night, when those 12 kids say their prayers in bedrooms painted the colors of hope, not one of them will ever have to learn the difference between love and leverage. That's the inheritance I chose, and it is without question the best thing I have ever done with my life.